WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Tropical storm Barry is churning off the Louisiana coast, but Mississippi could feel the wrath too. You're looking at video from Bay St. Louis this afternoon.
And it's not just the coastal areas preparing for the storm. Our area could also be in the path. For the very latest, we turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson to get a first look at tonight's forecast.
Look at this. This is the wide view of Barry. This is the Gulf of Mexico right here. The cloud shield is the entire Gulf of Mexico. Now the center is actually north of this big bright circle there, and that's actually north of the main thunderstorm complex. So it's not symmetric. So it's not one of those classic looking storms, but it's still pretty intense. Sustained wind at 65 miles per hour just off the coast, the center, and moving to the west-northwest. So that's the system as it stands right now. The track takes it into Louisiana later tonight and up through Arkansas and into parts of Missouri, the remnant low. That will put Columbus, the viewing area, east of the center of circulation. So we do have the chance for maybe 2 to 8 inches of rain around here, some flooding issues. Isolated tornadoes will be possible starting tomorrow afternoon all the way through Monday, it looks like, on an isolated basis here. And cooler temperatures, that's a trade-off here with this unsettled weather. This evening, though, we do have some isolated showers out there, a little bit of embedded thunder and lightning, too, but nothing like what we've had over the last couple of evenings. So we've got some low 90s out there. It's warm and sticky. We'll have more in Barry, more on your 7-day in just a few minutes.
Heavy rains in February left parts of Calhoun County underwater. Now with Tropical Storm Barry possibly bringing more rain to the area. People are watching the skies.
Our Riley Livingston talked to the EMA director there about how he's preparing for possible floods. She joins us in the studio with the story.
It's a waiting game in Calhoun County. EMA Director Randy Skinner is keeping a close eye on Barry and preparing for the worst.
High water, displaced residents, washed out roads. Back in February, parts of Calhoun County experienced it all. Now, roads are dry, but with uncertainty surrounding Tropical Storm Barry, Emergency Manager Randy Skinner says he's getting ready for a repeat.
We always plan for the worst. We're pre-staging sandbags at this time in the areas that were affected in the February storm around the Jimmy Beckley area. Right now we have 2,000 pre-staged, already filled. We also have another load that is coming in, empty sandbags, but we're securing sand to put in those bags and have it ready if we need it.
Skinner says heavy rains could cause lasting impacts.
When the floods happened in February, Grenada Lake was currently at its lowest stage. In those 4 days in February when we had our flood last time, the lake itself rose 23, 24 feet. So this time there's nowhere for the water to go because Grenada's already filled to 12 foot above Summer Pool. So if we get another 11, 12 inches, there's nowhere for the water to go, so it's going to hold longer.
He is encouraging residents to have a plan in place, stay weather aware, and keep an eye on water levels.
We're trying to get the word out now, basically. So if you see the water rising, please do not stay. Find a place to go then, because after it starts rising, it'll be too late.
Skinner says Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks is on standby if water rescues are needed.
And it's not just EMA directors keeping an eye out on Barry. Farmers also have concerns. Trent Barnett with the MSU Extension Service says high winds could damage corn crops and flooding could be a problem for low-lying areas. But he says crops, including sweet potatoes, should be able to handle heavy rains.
Due to the stage of development we're in, we should be okay as long as it's not that the plant isn't underwater. If we were later in the growing season, then we would really be concerned with that root development. But if we can just keep the water off of those plants.
If the crop is underwater for more than 24 hours, Barnett says that's when damage would become a concern.
A former Lee County deputy already under indictment is now facing another charge. 45-year-old Mike Mayhew of Plantersville is accused of threatening to harm Lee County Sheriff Jim Johnson. The state attorney general's office says Mayhew is accused of telling a witness to relay a threatening message to Johnson. Investigators say the statement came after Johnson reported Mayhew to the AG's office for allegedly submitting false timesheets for work that has not been had not been done. Mayhew has been released on a circuit court bond for the new charge. He faces up to 3 years in prison if convicted. The AG's office was asked to investigate the reported threat.
Getting cases to court requires evidence, and much of that evidence is processed by the Mississippi State Crime Lab. But personnel problems are slowing things down.
Jackson CBS talks with Mississippi's Crime Lab director about this critical staff shortage.
Analysts and physicians are hanging up their coats, leaving the Mississippi State Crime Lab and medical examiner's office short-staffed and backlogged on cases.
That's adding to a consistent backlog and an ever-growing backlog of criminal cases. And then the medical examiner's office, right now we only have 2 full-time physicians.
Right now, Howell says they're receiving 400 more drug cases per month. That's more than they can possibly work.
We have about 1,400 autopsies a year that are split up between these 2 doctors. We have over a homicide a day. So, and then they've got their court that they have to go to.
Howell explains examiners are usually able to give a preliminary autopsy report, but when it comes to giving families a full report, that's when the delays come in.
I get those phone calls, and it's very, it bothers me, you know, sometimes that we don't have the answers or don't have the answers as fast as we should have or could have. And, you know, but we try to help them as best we can.
As far as a solution to this crisis in the crime lab, it'll come with a hefty price.
Our entry-level people are coming in at $15,000 to $20,000 less than the surrounding states. So, you know, we're a great training ground, and as soon as we train them, they're gone.
It was a big celebration today as Louisville bids farewell to a man who spent nearly 40 years in public service. A big crowd was on hand for a retirement reception honoring outgoing Police Chief L.M. Claiborne. Dozens of city, county, and state leaders, along with law enforcement officers, were there. The veteran officer was given plaques and gifts as everyone thanked him for his service. Sean Holderness was recently named the new police chief in Louisville.
Preserving the past is the lesson plan for 3 Alabama sisters.
We take a look at their legacy of learning when we come back.
Welcome back. Continuing the spirit of education. That's what 3 sisters have been working on in Pickensville for the past decade.
After almost 10 years, the historic Pickensville Rosenwald School has reopened to the public as a museum. Our Cash Matlock talks with the Locke Sisters and has more on their labor of love. He joins us in the studio. Cash.
That's right, Joey. The Locke Sisters say the historic Pickensville Rosenwald School is the product of Booker T. Washington and Julius Rosenwald's efforts to provide education to African Americans in the rural South, rather. Now, there were 6 of these schools in Pickens County. Now, there's only 1 left. The sisters say it's crucial to preserve the building's history while we still can. Dozens of tourists braved the near 100-degree heat in Pickensville to get a glimpse inside the historic Rosenwald School and perhaps a glimpse into the past.
It means the world to us. It's a dream come true. We never wanted our school to die.
Mary Locke Fuzzymore and her 2 sisters have been working since 2010 to restore their beloved schoolhouse, the same school they attended as children with 9 of their siblings.
All 12 of us actually attended this school. We grew up in the community.
My father brought me to school on the back of a white horse.
All 3 Locke sisters grew up and went on to live as far away as New York, but they always dreamed of returning home.
In my mind, it was always that after retirement, I'm coming back to my hometown because the land was calling.
The sisters say the new museum is continuing the spirit of education to a new generation.
Give them some hope to let them know they can rise above and beyond.
It was about taking the village to raise a child. So I'm a product of this village.
We try to educate the community, especially the youth, that they don't have to leave. Apply yourselves, be the best that you can be, and hopefully whatever trade you decide to take up or whatever career you decide to do, you'll find some time to give back to a place such as this, because this is your home, and I'm very proud of it.
The sisters say they hope the museum will continue to grow in the years to come.
We expect to see it. It will be, not expect, it will be bigger.
This place deserves more. We cannot let it die. There's too much invested in not only this building, but investment in us from our ancestors. And we need to keep it going.
The historic Pickensville Rosenwald School Museum is funded through a public grant from the University of Michigan. For more information, you can visit our website at WCBI.com.
6:13 on our Friday afternoon, looking east from Durham's Pharmacy in Vernon. A friendly sky there, some clouds dotting the landscape. We saw some showers out there. We had some downpours in Louisville earlier. That's a live view. And in Tupelo, not too bad here as we get into our Friday evening, but it may become very wet this weekend. More on Barry after the break.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Some sunshine still in the city of Columbus. It is warm and steamy out there, low 90s in Columbus and in Tupelo. The heat index still around 100 degrees. Starkville a little bit cooler at 90, but still quite warm. Now, this is the nature of the beast in summer. A rain shaft, some spots getting very wet, other spots getting nothing. Just got that in via Twitter. We love to see those pictures, and you can see some of these spotty showers dotting the landscape. So few and far between are the downpours right now. A little bit of thunder and lightning from time to time, but in general, benign activity at this point. And still some rain up here across far northern Mississippi. There's a few more batches over here southeast of Tuscaloosa, moving back to the northwest. All of this on the general periphery of Tropical Storm Barry, but what you see here is generally going to fall away and fall apart this evening. So there you have it. By midnight, most of that should be done. We're looking at lows tonight down into the low and mid 70s. The rain fades away in general. Tomorrow, we should have a quiet start by noon and thereafter. A chance for scattered showers and storms, little waves of storms coming on through, and that could actually give rise to an isolated tornado threat. That will be the first issues, one of the first issues with Barry as it comes our way. So mid to upper 80s for highs here on our Saturday. Another warm one, but there's Barry down here in the Gulf of Mexico. Again, sustained wind at 65 right around the center. I want to show you some of these recent wind gusts, though. Up to 82 east of the center at some of these oil platforms down here. So very strong gusts at New Orleans right now, gusting to 32 down at the airport there. So the center is going to be tracking back to the northwest and make landfall tonight or tomorrow morning in Louisiana. The remnant low will continue to go through Arkansas and up into Missouri. We are east of the center, and that means heavy rain potential and a tornado threat. The rain potential, let's talk about it, anywhere from 2 to 8. The highest amount is likely west of 45, US 45. East of 45, we're thinking maybe 1 to 4. This would be through Monday. West of 45, generally 2 to up to 8, maybe. The farther west you live, the higher odds of getting those higher amounts. So flooding, flash flooding will be possible. Again, the isolated tornado threat and a scattered power outage threat as we go throughout the weekend. So this is just one model here showing lesser amounts east, more west. This is a general trend. So I just wanted to show you the general trend there. Just don't get fixated on some of those actual values, but lesser amounts east, more west, and we have this flash flood watch in effect already for parts of our area. So that's the first signs of things to come here later on this weekend. Now the flooding potential much higher to our southwest. This is Saturday and Saturday night down here in southwestern Mississippi and Louisiana, but the moderate risk for flash flooding gets pulled back to the north as we get into Sunday. So this evening we do have a little bit of activity that will go away. This is Futurecast. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock we should be okay. By noon and thereafter we'll have some of these feeder bands start to come on in from the south, and those would be the ones that could give rise to that isolated tornado potential. It looks like tomorrow evening and tomorrow night will be fairly tame in general, and then we'll have a few more of these bands start to come on in Sunday morning, and then as we go throughout the day on Sunday, the big core of very heavy rain right here, that could actually be marching somewhere up the Mississippi River Valley, and some of that could actually get into our area, and that is the blob right there that could give rise to those significant rainfall amounts. If it tracks to our west, we'll avoid that. But if it goes as expected, we may tap into that. So that's why we have those high rain chances for Sunday and Monday. Much cooler temperatures, though. That's the trade-off here. The system really goes away by Tuesday. Scattered storms possible. And we're back into those summer 90s by the end of next week.
Our 60 schools in 60 days countdown continues. We check in on the Amory Panthers coming up next in sports.
Your WCBI Sports with Courtney Robb is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
The 19th stop of the high school football tour visits with the Amory Panthers. The Panthers will be tested in a new class in a new division in 2019, but will lean on one of the most experienced rosters in the area.
WCBI's 60 Schools in 60 Days is brought to you by Sparklight.
With that group and then our group together as older classmen, man, this could be the year, honestly.
The expectations are sky high in Amory. The Panthers returned 17 of its 22 starters from a season ago, a battle-tested group that will take the hardships of the past 2 seasons into Region 1 3A. The first time in more than a decade, Amory will compete in Class 3A.
You expect big things this year, but we're still fairly young in spots, so we'll have some bumps and bruises early on, but hopefully with our non-division schedule that we play, that'll kind of get us ready for our division schedule.
It prepared us for teams like Pontotoc, Shannon, Itawamba. I think it prepared us real good for teams we're going to play this year. My expectations don't change. I mean, I want to play the best there is, whether it's Tupelo at 6A or it's Smithville at 1A. I want to play my game how it's supposed to be, and I know this whole team does as well.
The new division won't be seeing any new faces under center against Amory. Hunter Jones returning for his 3rd season as starting QB. Jones made a jump a season ago, completing 65% of his passes while throwing and rushing for a combined 31 touchdowns. The rising junior wants to step up in a bigger way than just the stat sheet.
This year I got to step into a bigger role. I mean, last year I was a little bit of a leader, but this year I got to be the man. And this is my team now. I got to take it up underneath my wing, and we got to roll with it.
He's the straw that stirs the drink for us as far on offense. For us, good football player, got a little moxie about him. So, we're obviously excited about having him back and then having the other guys back as well.
Jones and company will open the 2019 season with a familiar face, taking on Itawamba AHS. With Amory on the high school football tour, Tom Ebel, WCBI Sports.
60 Schools in 60 Days with Amory High School was brought to you by Cleveland Moffett Funeral Home and Monroe County Farm Bureau.
Well, there are still plenty of stops to go on our high school football tour, about 40 days worth of stops left. Well, of course, continue on through the weekend. Saturday, we'll be checking in on the Water Valley Blue Devils, seeing what they're up to. And then on Sunday, we'll be checking in on the Winona Tigers, seeing how they're preparing for the upcoming season. And mark your calendars because Alabama week begins on Monday. We'll check in on Monday with the Aliceville Yellow Jackets, followed by the Blue Devils in Sulligent on Tuesday. And of course, if you've missed any of those stops along the way, you can go watch them on our website, WCBI.com. The art of giving back to the community was on full display at the Roy E. Hazel Gym in Aberdeen. The high school hosting the 25th annual Razzle Dazzle basketball camp. Open to all ages, kids received instruction on basketball basics, followed by a few special visits from some Mississippi football stars such as NFL pro Josh Boyd. Camp organizer Roy Hazel talked about the importance of giving back to the Aberdeen community. We'll have more from him coming up tonight on WCBI Sports at 10. That's it for sports. We'll have more for you coming up after the break.
Some sun, some clouds, some downpours out there, and a lot of this will be going away this evening, but we have a little bit of rain out there. Now, keep in mind, starting midday tomorrow on through Monday, Barry will come on in here. Heavy rain, isolated tornado potential. Cooler temperatures, yes, but we'll have another update here at 10 on WCBI all weekend long. Also over there on our website and social media.
A little babysitting for you, huh?
All weekend long, we'll be here.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Have a good night.